Polish farmers have announced a national general strike for Wednesday, 20th of March. This will be the largest protest this year. Roads throughout the country, as well as roads leading out of larger cities, will be paralysed. Farmers oppose the import of agri-food products from outside the European Union, mainly the uncontrolled import of goods from Ukraine and the assumptions of the EU Green Deal. They believe that it should be thrown out because introducing it will destroy agricultural and animal production, and therefore their farms. And then we will all feel the effect. With more on the story, Paweł Bloch. Farmers take to the roads to demonstrate their dissatisfaction. They know what the situation is. Some local government officials, supported by the 13th December coalition, are afraid of protesting farmers. The demonstration was banned by the president of Wrocław, Jacek Sutryk, and of Bydgoszcz, Rafał Brzuski. In connection with further farmers' protests planned for Wednesday, I would like to inform you that, taking into account the safety and, above all, the health and life of our residents, as well as maintaining traffic on the most important arteries of the city, I have issued 4 decisions prohibiting the organisation of agricultural protests in the administrative area of Wrocław. Farmers are outraged. They emphasise that they are not a threat to anyone and have the right to protest in a free country. We are in a free country and everyone should protest as they see fit. This is a nationwide strike and all cities should be accessible. Farmers continue to demand a ban on the import of agricultural products from Ukraine and abandoning the EU's Green Deal policy. The protesters argue that if the Eurocrats' ideas come into force, their farms will collapse and we will face hunger. They accuse us of driving beautiful tractors, but we have to earn money for them and then take care of them. It costs dearly. Is this a work tool? Yes. And I'm afraid they'll take it away from me. Many years of sacrifice and suffering to have it. At the same time, farmers' protests continue in Europe. Regardless of the geographical location, the protesters are united by their rebellion against the EU's climate policy. The latest demonstrations took place in Madrid. We have no profits. Everything we buy, such as diesel fuel and fertilizer, is becoming more expensive. The prices of our products are not increasing, and the prices in the stores are high. Before we had enough to live on and save some money. We never lived like royalty, but we could save a little for a rainy day, or if we had a bad year. We don't have that now. Now we live on credit, and our children don't want to live like that. During the last farmers' protests in Warsaw, there was a scandalous behaviour by the police who brutally pacified the demonstrators. Then Prime Minister Donald Tusk called farmers hooligans, and today he continues to insult them. Organising demonstrations, getting involved and then igniting the emotions of demonstrations of farmers, including border blockades. Everything that Law and Justice and its leaders did so that the government could not succeed. If Tusk uses such arguments, it means that he is terrified of farmers. He tries to use arguments that he assumes will influence his elect. If he values his voters this way, it's a different matter. But if he thinks they are fools, he will upset both farmers and his constituency. There were provocateurs at the farmers' protest in Warsaw, but the farmers said they have nothing to do with them and loudly asked the question, who is behind it? Paweł Bloch, Telewizja Republika. A month before the parliamentary elections, Donald Tusk spoke with full confidence that the implementation of all 100 specific tasks is possible and within the set deadline. Only reliable people can make such promises. It quickly turned out that the calculations were wrong and the flagship promise to increase the tax-free allowance to 60,000 zloty will not be implemented this year. This has very massive financial consequences, but we will not give up on it. The Minister of Finance is obliged to ensure the tax-free amount of 60,000 zloty per year is the result of our work, but certainly not this year. Today, Donald Tusk says that the failure to implement the list of 100 specifics is the fault of unmobilised voters who did not give the Civic Coalition a mandate of support of 100% of the votes. If I have to explain something, it's that I didn't manage to convince enough voters to get enough instruments to govern. Prime Minister Donald Tusk also promised during the campaign to reduce health insurance premiums for entrepreneurs, loans with 0% interest rates for the purchase of the first apartment, a 600 zloty subsidy for renting an apartment for young people, lowering the waiting time for consultations and treatments within the health system.
To jest operacja manipulacyjna. To jest po prostu...
It was manipulation. It is simply an attempt to mislead the public to achieve goals that citizens were not informed about.
O których społeczeństwo, obywatele nie są informowani.
Moreover, Poles were to feel the change of government through the improvement of their financial situation. Donald Tusk announced a halving of electricity and gas prices, a reduction in petrol to 5 zloty a litre, and VAT relief. In fact, beauty industry lawyers will be subject to a reduced VAT rate of 8%, but at the expense of all of us, because VAT on food will increase from 0 to 5%. Nothing will come of the promise to reduce VAT on public transport, that is, to reduce ticket prices. These problems will disappear as if by magic. We do not have a magic wand to change everything at once.
Za chwilę, od 1 lipca.
Soon, as from the 1st of July, electricity and heating prices will go up, which will be a huge blow to citizens.
We wszystkich ludzi, we wszystkie portfele.
During the elections, the Civic Coalition boasted regarding the protection of supposedly threatened antitrust. Now we know that in this case, things had turned out to be the opposite of what was announced. The takeover by force, not by law, of public media, as well as the prosecutor's office. The announcement of the takeover of the Constitutional Tribunal and the National Bank of Poland are becoming the showcases of this government. And if there is a problem, such as with the farmers' protest, it must be suppressed with aggression, just as the police did at the last demonstration in Warsaw. Although farmers appeared in front of the Prime Minister's office that day, Donald Tusk ignored their problems and did not want to listen to anyone.
Rolnicy wyjechali na największe od 20 lat.
Farmers went on the largest protest in 20 years, and instead of getting this magic wand, they get hit with a police baton and tear gas.
Dostają policyjne pałki i gaz.
Donald Tusk zdaje egzamin tak naprawdę z obłudy, z mamienia społecznego.
This is a festival of hypocrisy, deception of society, and they must answer for it. They wasted 100 days. They did not prepare bills even as simple as increasing benefits from the alimony fund from 500 to 1,000 zloty. It was enough to change 2 paragraphs in the act.
Z funduszu alimentacyjnego z 500 na 1000 zł. Szanowni Państwo, to są 2 paragrafy w ustawie.
The list of unfulfilled specifics extends to several dozen points in total. Interestingly, the draft budget for 2024 assumes that the deficit will amount to 184 billion zloty, which is 20 billion more than the United Right assumed for the implementation of its programme. Today, politicians from Tusk's party, when asked about 100 specific facts, talk about metaphors and are surprised that someone could take it literally.
To są twarze Polek i Polaków, autorek i autorów.
These are the faces of Polish women and men who are the authors of these 100 facts. These 100 specifics for 100 days after winning the elections are their desires, their hopes, their demands.
Ich pragnienia, ich nadzieje, ich postulaty.
The process of releasing 20,000 prisoners from prisons has already begun, revealed Deputy Minister of Justice Maria Eckhardt in an interview with Rzeczpospolita Daily. This, in her opinion, is supposed to be a correction to the too strict prison policy pursued by the previous head of the ministry, Zbigniew Ziobro. The Prime Minister has a similar opinion.
Polityka karna ministra Ziobro.
Minister Ziobro's penal policy has resulted in a whole category of crimes that should be punishable other than by imprisonment.
Powinny podlegać karze, ale niekoniecznie jest to kara więzienia.
Another argument for releasing criminals is overpopulation. However, as the prison service stated, its facilities are 88% full, so there is still room. From time to time, we hear about prisoners' complaints to international tribunals. Perhaps we do not have enough space in prisons and the conditions do not meet modern standards. If there is not enough space, new prisons may be built, point out lawyers who warn that what is dangerous in this situation is that there are no guidelines as to which criminals should leave prison. This is not a gesture of Christian mercy that we do not expect from the government. Is it a gesture of rational politics? I understand that it is aimed against the final judgments on the basis of which these people are in prisons. I don't know where the number of 20,000 comes from. Interestingly, the Civic Platform can count on record support precisely in prisons. Prisoners mostly vote for the current government, as shown by the recent opinion polls. So maybe it's a wink at these people. It may sound dangerous, but such opinions are heard in the halls of the Sejm. Serious topic, because it may pose a real threat to the safety of Poles. No one knows who will be released, a rapist, a thief, or maybe a drug dealer. But MP Łącki from PO does not lose his sense of humour. Let me be ironic. Maybe it will turn out that we need 20 90,000 places in prison to put law and justice politicians there. TV Republica viewers too. They will be socialized because they have become rich over the last 8 years.
Jeżeli pan poseł Łącki śmieje się z tego i
If MP Łączki laughs and makes fun of it, this shows that he does not understand that tightening the law on crimes has resulted in a decline in the number of offences. Only the prospect of a harsh punishment can stop a criminal from committing a crime, and if he commits it, he will face an appropriate sentence.
ostra kara.
But the Prime Minister is not convinced.
Ale nie każde przestępstwo
Not every crime must end with imprisonment, especially when it comes to those criminals who do not cause a threat to life and health of other citizens.
utrudnia życia i zdrowia innych obywateli.
And corruption is not one of them. Speaking of corruption allegations, these are the charges against former Donald Tusk golden boy Sławomir Nowak. But the process still hasn't started. Today it has been postponed indefinitely.
Ale nie mogę wykluczyć, mówię,
I do not know the details of this case. Perhaps it would be wrong for me to take an interest in it. Probably the court is postponing it because there is no evidence for such a trial.
jedynym powodem, dla którego
Sławomir Nowak, former Minister of Transport in Tusk's government, is accused of, among other things, participating in an organised criminal group, providing financial benefits, laundering money derived from committing crimes, relying on influence and perjury. Nowak allegedly carried out these illegal activities in Ukraine as head of the state road agency. Do you vouch for Sławomir Nowak's innocence?
Sławomir Nowak to
Sławomir Nowak is just another example of the use of detention beyond its capacity. He was not the only person arrested by the Law and Justice Party and held for a very long time in prison without sentence. Adrian Borecki, Telewizja Republika. Romania expects to make a preliminary investment decision next year on whether to build small modular nuclear reactors, which could become Europe's first project using the technology, its energy minister said.
Avem șansa.
We have the chance of being the first or among the first, and that is because for years, Nuclear Electrica, the governments of the United States of America and of Romania, have committed to this road, and we have selected the technology with the most advanced degree of development. State-owned nuclear power producer Nuclear Electrica said in 2021 it will partner with US firm NuScale Power to build SMR reactors by 2029 as part of its efforts to boost low-emission power sources.
The U.S. Ex-Im Bank and the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation have committed to financing to ensure the success of this SMR project in Doicești.
Momentan ținta asamblării.
At the moment, the deadline for finalising the first module is the end of 2029. Romania aims to cut its carbon emissions to meet EU reduction goals and boost energy security, a more urgent issue since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. We have the chance of being the first or among the first, Romania's energy minister, Sebastian Borduia, said on Monday after touring the proposed site for the new plant in the central Romanian town of Doicești, with company and US officials, including Ambassador Kavalek. NuScale aims to build plants in Romania, Poland and elsewhere in Europe, although it terminated its SMR project in the United States state of Utah last year as it faced cost and subscription issues. The US ambassador to Romania, Kathleen Ann Kavalek, said on Monday that the Romanian project could benefit from US financial support worth $4 billion. The US Ex-Im Bank and the US International Development Finance Corporation have committed financing to ensure the success of this SMR project in Doicești, she said. The project will have 6 reactors with a total capacity of 460 megawatts. A companion solar park of 80 megawatts has already been installed on the site. Romania uses a mix of gas, coal, hydro, nuclear and renewables for electricity generation and has committed to phasing out lignite or brown coal under terms agreed in exchange for European Union funds.